growth. Hence, we need to make sure that our home state is equipped with a support system that is capable of sustaining such a thriving industrial economy. The foundation for sustainable development would be a sustainable source of energy. Without energy, nothing works, and hence Penang needs to guarantee a source of energy that is reliable, enough for investors to come in and set up operations without qualms about petroleum running out in 30 years, clean enough to leave a low carbon footprint and obey resolutions like the Kyoto Protocol, and yet safe enough for a small, densely populated island in the middle of the sea. Whether it's solar power, hydroelectricity, or wind power, energy is undoubtedly the key to sustainability. Now, the next step would be to address the issues of infrastructure and transportation. With more investment comes population growth, which means that there'll be more people who need to move around the island, and that will mean more cars on the road. Now, I'm sure we're all familiar with the horror of braving the Penang Bridge or Green Lane traffic jam in the rush hour. So do we really want more cars on our roads? We need to broaden our horizons. If countries like Singapore and Hong Kong, which are more than 3 times our size, can have a fully integrated and efficient transportation system, I don't see why we can't have the same. Let us consider options like water taxis or ferries, not just to ferry people from the island to the mainland, but to ferry people from port to port on the island itself. After all, we are an island state, and it would make logical sense to maximize and fully utilize all our assets. Another option we can consider is the minibus. Unlike the big rapid Penang buses that traverse the entire island, minibuses would only ply the routes in certain neighborhoods in that entire neighborhood, transporting residents directly from their homes to the nearest ferry terminal or to the rapid Penang bus station. So if all this infrastructure were put into place, imagine this scenario. A banker who lives in Tanjung Tokong could take a minibus from his house that would take him to perhaps the nearest ferry terminal at Straits Quay, for example, where he could then take the ferry straight down to Tanjung City Marina, where it would only take a short walk or another minibus ride to get to his office in Beach Street Banking District. The time taken for this entire journey would be about 30 minutes, which is approximately the same time as it would take for him to drive there. Only now, the stress on our roads and highways would be greatly alleviated. So once we come up with innovative ways to address the transportation problem, let us now turn to the issue of manpower. No economy can run without labor, and hence Penang has to ensure that it has a sufficient supply of both blue-collar and white-collar labor to sustain growth. We have to offer incentives and stop the brain drain. Stop our bright young minds from jumping ship to countries like Singapore and Australia, because when we don't have sufficient manpower, demand will outweigh supply. And like high school has taught me, when demand outweighs supply, prices rise. Now, while high wages might seem to be a good thing in the short term, in the long term, artificially inflated like this, it can actually be quite detrimental to the entire state economy. Investors who deem the high wages simply not worth the money will just pull out of the state and take their production somewhere else with a ready supply of cheaper labor. So now we've addressed some of the more basic issues that make up sustainable economy. But while we're talking about GDP growth and economic stability, etc., let us never forget the sustainability of Mother Nature. Hence, we should all embrace eco-friendly engineering and architecture, tax-free hybrid cars, carbon taxes, energy-efficient LED lighting, and most of all, tightened regulations on environmental impact assessments for proposed developments, for example, on hillsides or land reclamation projects. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, to create a sustainable Penang, one that is both a beautiful home for us and yet successful economically, we have to take the time and the effort to consciously weigh each and every one of the decisions that we make from an environmental, social, as well as economical aspect. It's not enough to just build things bigger and better than the way they were before. We have to think 10 steps ahead of the curve to ensure that in 20, 30, 50, or 100 years' time, Penang will still be here, wonderful, and the way we've always envisioned it. Because in the end, ladies and gentlemen, sustainability is all about management. Our management of both our resources and of our own development, so that the fruits of our labor will still be here and stand the test of time. Only then, when we have achieved that, will we truly be able to call ourselves the untarnished, unblemished, undimmed, ever-glowing Pearl of the Orient. Thank you.